Aloha, and welcome to Inside the Writer's Studio. I'm your host, Eila Algood, and I'm excited today because we have Jada Rufo, who is going to read a little something from her novel, followed by some talk story to get to know the writer a little bit. Welcome, Jada.
Well, thank you, Arlo and Hawaii Writers Guild for this opportunity to share my writings with you. Today, I've chosen a short chapter from my book titled The Zone, which was published in November of 2017. So I will be reading to you the first chapter. Now, I'll give you some background. This takes place in 1937 China when it was occupied by Japan. And the reason why I call it the zone is because there were several Westerners who stayed behind to set up an international safety zone to help to save Chinese refugees, most of them women and children. This first chapter is about an air raid that happened prior to the initial invasion of the city of Nanjing. This is, after all, 1937. So here's what it sounds like. Chapter 1. Ee-yo, ee-yo. Shrey sits straight up from her steel-framed bunk bed at the sound of the siren. The August sun shines brightly through their window and onto the concrete dormitory floor. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. She turns to her friend, Ling, lying on the bed below hers. You hear that? Shui whispers. In the distance, a loud boom goes off. Ling turns, rubs her eyes, and faces her friend. What? Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Shui quickly scrambles down her ladder and opens the window. Even the wooden table in front of the window cannot prevent Shui from checking out the action outside. She sticks her head out and looks up at the sky. A single fighter plane strafes the Nanjing skyline. The plane is so low that Shui can see the pilot's face as he brushes the rooftops of Jingling Women's College, their school. Shui can't make out if the plane is Chinese or Japanese. She didn't need to. There, Shui pulls back inside to warn her roommates just as the pilot fires off a series of bullets. One brushes Shui's hair and hits the wooden door. Another embeds itself in the table. Shui ducks and takes cover on the floor. The others cover themselves with blankets or pillows on their beds. The door and table ignite. By now, all four girls in the room are awake and scrambling out to put out the fires. Meng, the eldest girl in the room, grabs a pillow, races down her ladder, and smothers the fire on the door with the pillow, while Ling, Shui, and Yujie extinguish the fire on the table with water in their tin mugs and thermoses. Ee-yo, ee-yo. Outside, young Ai pounds on their door and barks out orders. Girls, get up. Go to the central building basement. Now, we are under attack. Yujie is furious. Although she's the shortest girl, she makes her presence known with her shrill, high-pitched voice. She turns and glares at Shui, who's now cowering. You whore! Shui is taken aback by Yujie's anger. Although Shui is used to being called by such an ugly name, she is puzzled. How does she know me? We've only met 2 days ago. Young Ai's booming voice over the hallway moves to the next door and repeats the order. Get up! Go to the central building, now! Let's go! Let's go! We're coming, Meng yells through the door. Look, she says to her roommates, fighting and name-calling won't help. Let's go. Meng opens the door. Girls are now pouring into the hallway. 2 are seriously injured. One has been hit in the leg and is screaming her lungs out. Another has been hit in the shoulder and passes out at the sight of her own blood. Level-headed Meng volunteers, along with another girl from another room, to take the injured student with a shoulder injury to the central building. 2 other volunteers carry the screaming girl downstairs onto the central building, leaving the rest of the students with young Ai. What's happening? One girl asks as they all head to to the stairs. Didn't Miss Beltran say there wouldn't move it? Yang Ai yells. The girls, including Ling, Shui, and Yujie, run down the nearest flight of stairs to the first floor where more girls are waiting to be called. Yang Ai takes the roll call. Han Shui, here. Tan Ling, here. Sun Yujie, here. All ambulatory students in dormitory 400 are accounted for. Boom! Exploding bombs could be heard in the distance, followed by more planes flying in a single fire formation and rapid gunfire. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Walk in a single file, girls, Yang Ai orders them. Stick with your friend. All the girls follow Yang Ai, a stocky older woman and a dorm worker in her mid-50s. They follow her like chicks, following their mother to safety as they all take cover in the central building in Jingling Women's College. The college itself is in disarray, especially behind dormitory 600, where workers are constructing a trench behind the building and the science building, where faculty and staff are moving things to the basement. There are workers with hoes, shovels, and picks standing in the quadrangle, the open lawn area directly in front of the central building. They are looking at the sky. Workers in the science building are moving crates full of beakers and tungsten burners. Some of the workers drop their crates full of microscopes and run to the action as if they were watching a sporting event. There are other workers pushing wheelbarrows filled with sandbags who have stopped to watch the air raid. No one has seen anything like it. What the hell are you doing? Someone screams. Run! As they walk, some girls peer out from beneath the covered walkway leading to the central building to see what's happening on such a clear, hot August summer. A single plane strafes the Nanjing skyline, spraying bullets. Rat-tat-tat-tat. Who or what this plane is firing at is anyone's guess, but some of the workers fall to the ground. Are they dead? One girl asks. Stay in line, Yang Ai orders the students. Students from dormitories 600 and 700 are also taking shelter in the basement of the central building beneath the ground floor. Some are clearly confused. Others are screaming and covering their ears at the sound of the firing bullets and detonating bombs. Still others want to watch the air raid. I thought there weren't going to be any air raids. What's happening? All 60 girls chatter among themselves as they take their assigned places in the basement. Whose planes are they? One girl asks. 讨厌规则. Damn those devils. That's the end of chapter 1.
Thank you so much. I hadn't heard you read that piece. Thank you for sharing a piece of that book that I know you worked hard on. Maybe you can share with people where the idea came from for this particular book.
Well, I love history, and this was, I've read bits and parts of the Nanjing massacre and eventual rape of Nanjing, in history books, but there's only just a blurb they're just a blurb, just a paragraph in a college textbook. And so when my father said, you should go to China to study Chinese, it so happened that my sister and I, we were studying at Nanjing, Nanjing Normal University, which was at the former Jingling Women's College, which is featured in this story. And so when I had the chance, I went with a Chinese friend to go see the Nanjing Massacre Memorial. And that was a real eye-opener for me because it's something that's not promoted in world history books. Not too many people know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard about Iris Chang, and her book, The Rape of Nanking, came out in, I believe it was 1995, right about the time I actually went to Nanjing for the first time. So that's the beginning of how I got interested in writing about this topic.
So I think that's really valuable for people to know, because we all get our inspiration from different places. And
Right.
you obviously had an interest in the culture and in the country, and then finding out some information about it made you want to write about it. And as a writer, you get to do that.
Obviously. And
Yeah.
it was so much easier because I was living in the city. So, and I was surrounded by history. In fact, the college had a statue honoring Minnie Vautrin, one of the Westerners that stayed behind and helped set up the International Safety Zone. And she's also featured in the book. But she was just one of these women that was really, really tough. At one point, she ended up staring down the barrel of a gun of a Japanese soldier, and she just would not give up her ladies, would not give up on her girls, as she would say.
Now, do you have something you're working on currently? Because this has been published a few years ago. Is there anything you're working on right now?
Well, I have I'm working on a children's book. I have the storyline down, but I'm also working on the illustrations.
Oh, that's
And
that's a very big project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure when it's going to be published, but I'm very I'm very picky about what kind of pictures I want in my children's book, since it is a children's book. So that's what I'm working on right now.
That's exciting. Do you have a favorite genre? I mean, you go from this historic novel to a children's book, and is there one thing that you enjoy more than the other, or does it just depend on what ideas come to you?
It just depends on whatever comes to me. Right now, I also have a blog, and sometimes the main theme that seems to be running through my most recent writings is about COVID-19.
Yeah, well, that's out there for a lot of us right now.
Right, but it's been very therapeutic because it's tough. I used to work at the airport, and I'd see a lot of visitors passing through my airport.
About how long would you say you've been writing?
Oh gosh, I've been writing since junior high school. Remember, I had this long handwritten manuscript about, at the time, I think it was Soviet Union and the USA were still at odds with each other, and for some reason I was intrigued by all that, and so I wrote a story about a Russian family with teenagers, and one of those teenagers was a gymnast, and I showed that story to my teacher at the time, and she just remembers the part where the family would take off their slippers before entering their home. And obviously, I had never been to Russia before, so I didn't know much about the customs or anything. And my teacher picked up on that, and she said, write about something you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been sticking to. Write about something that.
That's really good advice for our listeners. Anyone out there who's interested in writing, it's a good place to start, especially to write about something you know. And you can do research, but yeah, it helps to have some knowledge. So thank you so much, Jada, for sharing your piece with us and doing a little talk story here. And I want to let people know, if they'd like to know more about the Writers Guild, you can go to the website at hawaiiwritersguild.com, and there's also a Hawaii Writers Guild Facebook page. Until next time, aloha.
Aloha.